going on, guys? It's Nick. We have 1 day left until the NFL draft, the day we've all been waiting for this offseason. And to celebrate, I'm going to give you one last mock draft. This is my final mock draft. And no, I will not be putting subsequent rounds in the description. This was done in quite a hurry because right now we are in the midst of preparing for finals here at Indiana University. So I'm just going to tell you my picks for the first round and then I'll be on my way. Actually, I'll be making my 7-round Packers mock draft. So it'll be a busy night of video making for me tonight. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So at number 1, I have the Cleveland Browns taking Myles Garrett. No question about it. I mean, this guy's got size, speed, explosiveness. This guy's the consensus number 1 pick, and I feel like Cleveland will wait to see which quarterback falls to them at number 12. Now, I hear that there's some talk that Cleveland can't decide between Myles Garrett and quarterback Mitchell Trubisky. However, the Browns pick Trubisky here over Garrett. That will be like when Jacksonville decided to take Blaine Gabbert over J.J. Watt. Be the stupidest thing that I've ever seen. But then again, it is Cleveland, so you never know. But anyways, I have the Browns making the right decision and taking Myles Garrett. At number 2, I have the San Francisco 49ers taking Solomon Thomas, the defensive end out of Stanford. Now, I know new head coach Kyle Shanahan would love to find the next Matty Ice. But the Niners should opt for a dynamic pass rusher with an arsenal of moves who could play multiple spots on the line. As you may have heard, the 49ers are switching to a 4-3 defense, and Solomon Thomas fits that, even though they've drafted defensive line the past 2 years. They were more fit for a 3-4. And Solomon Thomas is a perfect fit for a 4-3, and I feel like he would just add a new dynamic to that defense. He would make people forget about last year's pathetic 49ers defense and have visions of like when they were competitors. Solomon Thomas is the pick. Anyways, number 3, I have the Chicago Bears taking Marshawn Lattimore, the cornerback out of Ohio State. Now, the Bears, with their pick of safeties, Jamal Adams or Malik Hooker, I feel like they'll go with the draft's best cornerback to upgrade a unit that gave up 25 points per game in 2016 and faces Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford a combined 4 times a year. At number 4, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Leonard Fournette, running back out of LSU. Stylistically, Fournette draws comparisons to Adrian Peterson with his blend of power and long stride speed. I mean, we'll see soon enough if that translates to the NFL. However, it does take pressure off of Blake Bortles in the passing game immediately. So, Tekken is my world. If you're watching this, Leonard Fournette, man, just give it up. So at number 5, I have the Tennessee Titans taking Jamal Adams, safety out of LSU. A receiver in this spot was tempting, but the Titans should bolster arguably their biggest need with the speedy Adams, who could prove to be the best defensive back in this draft. At number 6, once again, I have the New York Jets taking Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback out of North Carolina. McCown, Petty, and Hackenberg. That doesn't even sound like a great law firm, let alone a quarterback depth chart. Enter Trubisky, who completed 68% of his passes with 30 touchdowns and only 6 picks over 13 starts. Now, it's a limited body of work and came exclusively out of the shotgun. but I feel like the Jets would be willing to make him the quarterback of their future. At number 7, I have the Chargers taking Malik Hooker. The LA Chargers, by the way. I have them taking Malik Hooker, the safety out of Ohio State. And after a year of striking gold with defensive end Joey Bosa, the Chargers once again tap the Ohio State University with Hooker, who is a rangy defender who grabbed 7 interceptions for the Buckeyes this past season. I think that they really miss Eric Weddle in that secondary, and Malik Hooker kind of strikes me as the type of guy that's like Eric Weddle in a lot of ways. At number 8, I have the Carolina Panthers taking Christian McCaffrey, the running back out of Stanford. Now, Jonathan Stewart is going into his 10th season and had just one 100-yard game last season. I would know. I had him on my fantasy team last year. McCaffrey is a perfect complement who adds a special presence to a struggling run game along with the return game. And plus, he can go as a receiver in the slot as well. This is a very versatile player, and I feel like Cam Newton would definitely like having a guy like Christian McCaffrey next to him in that backfield. My only issue with Christian McCaffrey is if he's durable enough with his size. But we'll see. At number 9, I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking Jonathan Allen, the defensive lineman out of Alabama. He faltered a bit in workouts, but at 6'3" and 286 pounds, he has the burst and versatility that teams love. Now, this guy has some shoulder issues for sure. I think it's arthritic shoulders, but you look at this guy on tape and it just says it all. This guy is a top 5 talent in my opinion, but people will look at arthritis in shoulders and testing numbers, and that will cause you to fall. But I feel like Cincinnati will be the winners in that situation and get a really good player in Jonathan Allen. Now, at number 10, I have the Buffalo Bills taking Corey Davis, the wide receiver out of Western Michigan. Here, I think the Bills get their complement to Sammy Watkins, with a receiver who set an FBS record with 5,212 yards and 51 touchdowns. 6'3", and with an on-campus time of 4.48 from last summer in the 40-yard dash, he's the most polished receiver in this draft. I know there's Mike Williams and him being a national champion and all, but you look at Corey Davis and this guy's just complete. He is. He's the real deal. At number 11, I have the New Orleans Saints taking Derek Barnett, the defensive end out of Tennessee. Now, Derek Barnett might not be the athlete that Garrett is, but his 33 sacks over the past 3 years led the nation, and he passed none other than the great Reggie White, rest in peace Reggie, to become the Vols career sacks leader. That's pretty remarkable. New Orleans, they have holes all over their defense. They can't get to the quarterback. They can't create turnovers. It's a mess. Their defense is just simply a mess. And any position would help them, especially a guy like Derek Barnett. At number 12, I have the Cleveland Browns taking Deshaun Watson, the quarterback out of Clemson. Now, Watson's 30 interceptions over the past 2 seasons is cause for concern. But his arms, legs, poise, and ability to play big when it matters most could finally give a young signal caller to be excited about. Assuming that they're not terribly excited about Brock Osweiler and have forgotten about Johnny What's-His-Name. At number 13, I have the Arizona Cardinals taking Patrick Mahomes, the second quarterback out of Texas Tech. If this ends up being Carson Palmer's last year, the Cards may have found his replacement in the gunslinger from Texas Tech. This would be a perfect landing spot for Mahomes, who could use a year to acclimate to a pro-style offense and might ultimately be the creme of the crop this year when it comes to quarterbacks. At number 14, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Marlon Humphrey, the cornerback out of Alabama. Now, a lot of people are knocking on Marlon Humphrey because of the national championship against Clemson, where he just got absolutely mossed by Mike Williams a couple of times. But keep in mind, this guy is only 20. With last year's starting corners gone via free agency, the Eagles get Humphrey, who is a player with size, speed, and plenty of upside at just 20 years old. Now, he needs to work on being able to create turnovers, but this guy is very good in run support. He's willing to make the tackle, and I feel like that's the kind of corner that Jim Schwartz really likes. At number 15, I have the Indianapolis Colts taking Hassan Reddick, the linebacker out of Temple. Reddick is an athletic 237-pound linebacker who put up 22.5 tackles for losses and 10.5 sacks for the Owls in 2016. He can line up and attack from anywhere in the scheme and blitz or drop with equal effectiveness, because this guy actually walked on to Temple as a corner. So this is a guy who can rush the passer and drop back in coverage, and I feel like Indy needs someone like that on their defense. Indy's defense is just awful. It's been awful for a while. They need a difference maker, and I feel like Hassan Reddick can be that difference maker. You can line him up all over the field, and I feel like he could set the tone for a rebuild of Indy's defense. At number 16, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Mike Williams, the wide receiver out of Clemson. Now, if Joe Flacco gets a vote, I feel like he'd want the 6'3", 218-pounder who can post up defensive backs and uses monster catch radius to haul in passes. After losing Steve Smith Sr. to retirement and Kamar Aiken in free agency, this pick is a no-brainer in my opinion. I mean, you want Joe Flacco to succeed further, you need to give him weapons. I'm sorry. Now, at number 17, I have Washington taking Takaris McKinley, the outside linebacker out of UCLA. The versatile McKinley notched 10 sacks and 18 tackles for losses in just 11 games last season. His forte is rushing the passer, but he has the ability to drop into coverage when needed. Shoulder surgery could cost him his rookie training camp, but he will be worth the wait, I'm pretty sure. At number 18, I have the Tennessee Titans taking John Ross, the wide receiver out of Washington. Now, quarterback Marcus Mariota gets who I call the Flash. His 40-yard dash, 4.22, beats Chris Johnson's record at this year's combine. And at 5'10" and 188 pounds, Ross has had his share of injuries, but when healthy, he's a legit game breaker. If you want Marcus Mariota to grow into a complete quarterback, you need to give him weapons. Like, could you name any of the Titans wide receivers that were actually legitimately good? You need a guy like John Ross. At number 19, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Dalvin Cook, the running back out of Florida State. Cook racked up 1,788 yards and 19 touchdowns in 2016 and bested Warwick Dunn's career FSU rushing mark with 4,464 yards. He's got patience, burst, and balance, along with soft hands catching out of the backfield. However, off-field issues, including a misdemeanor for allegedly punching a woman outside a bar in 2015, and a 2014 animal care violation involving 3 pit bull puppies, could see him slide to this point or beyond. Now, reuniting him with former Florida State teammate, quarterback Jameis Winston, could be very good for Dalvin Cook, because Jameis Winston has done a lot of maturing of his own. And I feel like Dalvin Cook could really learn from Jameis. And plus, that was a pretty good combination at FSU if you look back at it. So why not bring him to Tampa and bring that spark again? At number 20, I have the Denver Broncos taking O.J. Howard, the tight end out of Alabama. Now, McCaffrey would have made for a nice story here, but the consolation is a power forward of a tight end with possibly the best hands in this draft. Howard wasn't a featured weapon in the Crimson Tide's attack, but at 6'6" and 251 pounds with 4.51 speed, he'll make up for it at the next level, I feel. At number 21, I have the Detroit Lions taking Reuben Foster, the inside linebacker out of Alabama. Now, Foster is a top 10 talent and quite possibly the hardest hitter in this draft. But again, off-field issues. With Foster, he had an altercation with a hospital worker that got him sent home from the combine. Plus, recently, a diluted urine sample. Plus, there's been questions about his friends, and he's recovering from a shoulder injury. All of these contributed to his drop, but the film shows a tone-setting inside linebacker with all-pro potential. And that's scary for me to say, because I'm a Packers fan, and yeah, you can't say this draft is biased. At number 22, I have the Miami Dolphins taking Taco Charlton, the defensive end out of Michigan. Now, Taco is big, strong, and long-levered, and at 6'6" and 277 pounds, Charlton is still growing into his body and may have only scratched the surface of his potential, which means even better than his 9.5 sacks while earning first-team honors for the All-Big Ten in 2016. At number 23, I have the New York Giants selecting Ryan Ramczyk, the offensive tackle out of Wisconsin. With right tackle Marshall Newhouse off to the Raiders, you're better off for that, New York. I remember having Marshall Newhouse in Green Bay. He sucks. Sorry, Raiders. The Giants upgrade their line with the nation's best pass protector. Ramczyk started his career at Division II Winona State, moved back home to Division III Wisconsin Stevens Point, and ultimately found stardom at Division I Wisconsin. He will be the only NFL player to have played college football at all three divisions. So you can tell this guy has worked his ass off to get where he has gotten. And New York Giants' offensive line was mediocre, and that's being kind. So I feel like they go offensive line here. At number 24, I have the Oakland Raiders selecting Jared Davis, the inside linebacker out of Florida. With Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin manning the outside linebacker spots, the Raiders shore up the middle of their defense with a player who draws as much praise for his character and leadership as he does for his instinctive play. At number 25, I have the Houston Texans selecting Deshaun Kaiser, quarterback, Notre Dame. While he is slipping on many draft boards, I think Kaiser would fit well in Houston. To me, Kaiser is what the Texans hoped Brock Osweiler would be. A competent pocket passer whose deep ball accuracy can take advantage of the tremendous skill sets of Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. The Texans need a quarterback that can throw accurately deep down the field, and that's what Kaiser brings. He may not operate well within a short passing game, but the ideal Texans offense doesn't revolve around that trait. Bill O'Brien wants a vertical passing attack that leans heavily on the run game. But if the Texans cannot throw the ball deep, the offense just turns into the same horror show of 2016. At number 26, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking Kevin King, the cornerback out of Washington. And now this pick is a little too perfect. King played his college ball in Seattle, is a 6'3" physical defender that's played cornerback, safety, and slot, and he led all corners at the combine in the 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuttle, and 60-yard shuttle. As offseason rumors about Richard Sherman swirled, the Seahawks may have found his potential replacement, except without the dreadlocks. At number 27, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Zach Cunningham, the linebacker out of Vanderbilt. With veteran linebacker Derek Johnson rehabbing an Achilles injury, Cunningham, the SEC's leading tackler in 2016, and a two-time first-team all-conference selection, can step in and instantly lend his instinctiveness and athleticism to an area of need. At number 28, I have the Dallas Cowboys selecting Charles Harris, the defensive end out of Missouri. With needs at cornerback and pass rusher, the Cowboys tabbed the latest Mizzou quarterback sacking standout. Harris's film definitely makes up for less than stellar testing numbers. Now his teammates call him black ice because quarterbacks don't see him until it's too late. This guy slides into an ideal landing spot as an edge rusher in Rod Marinelli's scheme. And next, we have my Green Bay Packers. And I have us taking T.J. Watt, the outside linebacker out of Wisconsin. Now, with a plug-and-play option available in Western Kentucky's Forrest Lamp and plenty of options at corner, the Packers address possibly their biggest area of need with a homegrown pass rushing prospect that isn't even close to finding the ceiling of how good he can be. He was a tight end until 2015, but when he started at Wisconsin, he put up, as an outside linebacker, he put up 15 and a half tackles for losses and 11 and a half sacks in his only year starting for the Badgers at that position. And plus, this was as a stand-up linebacker in a 3-4 defense. We run a 3-4 defense. He also returned an interception 17 yards for a touchdown against Purdue. He has the film testing numbers. For example, his 11.26-yard shuttle led all linebackers at the combine, while his 10'8" broad jump at 4.13 20-yard shuttle tied for the best mark. And obviously genetics, because, that brother of his, well, two brothers, they're both in the NFL. To be an immediate contributor and impact player for years to come, Watt would team up with Clay Matthews and Nick Perry to give Green Bay a fearsome pass rush that will pay dividends not just in sack totals, but on the back end of the defense, where it struggled a year ago. If he's on the board, this is as close to a can't-miss pick as there is. But you never know with Ted Thompson. But a lot of people will say that we need a corner in this spot, but I feel like there's a lot of corners in this draft that we can get. Excuse me, I was about to sneeze. At number 30, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Jabril Peppers, the safety/linebacker from Michigan. Now, like Reuben Foster, Peppers' urine sample from the combine came back as diluted. That verdict counts the same as a positive drug test, but there's no discipline involved in stage 1 of the program. Peppers says that he had food poisoning and was simply just trying to properly rehydrate himself. Either way, the Steelers get a good value on a player who lined up at 15 different spots on defense, special teams, and even offense for the Wolverines and won the Paul Hornung Award for the nation's most versatile player. At number 31, I have the Atlanta Falcons taking Forrest Lamp, guard, Western Kentucky. Now, Lamp is a 4-year starter at left tackle for the Hilltoppers who put up strong showings against LSU and Alabama. However, he projects to be a guard in the NFL with the cliche short arms thing. After embracing the move inside at the Senior Bowl, he added to his resume by snapping at his pro day, showing that he can play all spots in the offensive line, and that's the kind of versatility that teams love, honestly. The weak point of Atlanta's offense is their guard spot. And if you want that offense to be the same as it was last year, you need to keep, and possibly better, you need to keep Matty Ice's pocket clean. And Forrest Lamp can do that for you. Last but not least, I have the New Orleans Saints taking Adoree Jackson, the cornerback out of USC. Now, the Saints aren't ready to look for the next Drew Brees yet, at least not in this spot. Barring a trade down or a trade for New England's Malcolm Butler, New Orleans gets an athletically gifted corner that's made plays on defense, special teams, and offense during his tenure with the Trojans. He may be a bit undersized to play on the outside, but he'll contribute in the slot and return game right away. So there you have it. That's my final first-round mock draft, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and I'll see you guys later. Go Pack, go.